Hi, I'm Sharaad Kuttan and welcome to Let's Talk, the show that tries to bring you some of the most important conversations of the day. Now, we're going to be looking at cinematic arts in Malaysia, the training of, and to help me in this conversation, I have with me some of the people behind an upcoming an upcoming short film called Kelingo, which is Kayan for Echo. It's a final year project by some young people coming out of MMU, Multimedia University, Johor, which has a cinematic arts program. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I have with me Jeremy Jack, who's the director of the short film, and Jolene Wong, the producer. Now, these are very, very crucial roles, clearly, in the making of film. But let's start with your training. And I want to ask Jolene, you're the producer, and that's a role that must be kind of unglamorous in many ways. Directors, actors get a lot of attention. Producers, much less so within the world of cinema. Though I think people in the world of cinema probably respect producers as a very important part of the process. So tell us, why did you choose, coming out of your studies, to become a producer? What's driving you in that direction?
I guess I've tried like different aspects in filmmaking. I've tried like directing, sound department, editing, but then it's something about producing that keep pulling me back. Like I like scheduling, I like handling stuff. I like hire a cast or make like audition, things like that.
You like to be in control.
You could put it that way.
This is a very powerful role that you have, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what is it a 4-year course or a 3-year course?
4 years.
Yes. 4 years.
It's 1 year foundation and 3 years degree.
Okay. Jeremy, tell us about yourself. I mean, I know Jolene's from Malacca, you're from Sarawak. Tell us about why, after all these years, 4 years, you've chosen to focus on being a director.
Oh yeah, sure. So I began my journey in filmmaking by making silly short videos on YouTube with my siblings, just with whatever camera that we had, making short action films, just an excuse to try out because we watched YouTube tutorials on how to do, for example, lightsabers and all that. So it started from there just to fill up the time, because I had a year gap before continuing my studies, and I fell in love with filmmaking through that. It was just something silly, and from there,
and how old were you when you
I was like 16, 17. So it was a perfect time to just mess around and play around. And I'm glad that my parents allowed us to play. Yeah, really, that's the word, to play with it. To try out stuff, to see where this thing can go. And they're not really typical parents where they have set a certain career path for me. So I was living with that.
Okay, so you were playing around 16, 17. What were you influenced by? Because I think, and this is a typical question you ask all creative people.
Sure.
Who's influenced you? What is it that you want to? Who do you model yourself on?
Oh yeah. When I first started, it wasn't really people, but just watching films. I remember growing up when I was 5 or 7 years old. I think one of the local television station, they showed, to promote feature films, they showed interviews with cast and directors, and they showed little snippets of behind the scene of them making the film, and I was intrigued by the process of making them. But I was intrigued by how they made films and how they started get into it. And from there, I guess it grew into let's try out this thing. Let's try out filmmaking. And
so there wasn't anybody specifically.
If there was a specific person, it might be Spielberg. That's a very typical answer. But in our household, my dad would have videotapes of his films, and it wasn't necessarily made for kids. Really, maybe Jaws or stuff that are not, kids are not.
E.T. was
maybe E.T., but he has quite a range of films that he made. And my dad would buy, when he goes to KL, for example, because we're from Kuching, he'll bring back tapes, VHS tapes, and that's what we would watch, along with, the typical kids' stories. And
right. Okay, so it was basically the kind of cultural milieu that all of us grew up in.
Yeah, it's very typical, yeah.
Popular culture, driven a lot by American cinematic arts. Jolie, I mean, in choosing to actually sign on to this program at MMU, specifically the Johor branch, which you've told me before the show that it focuses on a kind of broad-based cinematic arts education. I mean, was it a big decision? I mean, did your parents say, "Oh, let's do something a little more practical"?
I feel like because during high school I did choose that, I want to study something related to art. Before I choose filmmaking, I wanted to study fine art. So my parents know about it, and they know that I'm not good in science, not good in math, so So yeah, I think it's somehow just lead me to filmmaking. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But there must be people who think, oh, this is going to be glamorous. You sign up for a course like this, and then the reality of it must be quite different because it's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do people drop out of your cinematic arts course?
Oh yeah, they do.
They do?
They do, yeah.
At a phenomenal rate. Okay, so maybe, Jeremy, explain to us a little bit about the curriculum. What exactly is going on at MMU Johor? What is it they're trying to produce in you and, and the people there?
Yeah, sure. So it is more of a technical school early on when they started. But like, you learn how to hold the camera, use the editing software and all that. But part of the curriculum also enforces this need to understand cinema history, cinema as a language. So the more kind of like abstract way of thinking what cinema is, because I think that's where the content comes alive, where the art comes alive. You can film a short film or a feature length on your phone, but if whatever that you captured is interesting or of value, then it's something worth watching, something worth making. So the technical stuff is important, but there's the part of the curriculum is trying to teach that also.
Right. So the technical stuff is a vehicle to deliver
basically,
message, ideas.
Yeah.
And have you grown in that sense, Jolene? I mean, your view of cinema, has it changed over the 4 years of doing this course?
Yeah, it changed quite a lot. Like before this, imagine like a film, like a specific shot about maybe just a fly stop on a cup and it flies off. Maybe to like normal audiences, they would think like, oh, it's just a normal thing. Like they don't even know why they put it inside the film. But then we study about film language. We study about, oh, there is like a deeper meaning behind everything, behind the film. Yeah.
Okay, so you've actually deepened your understanding of film as you've gone along. Now, I understand Kalingo, which is that short film that you're working on, is your final year project due in March. Who developed the idea? Where did it come from? Was it a short story before it became a film, or was it something that bubbled up from your own imagination?
It definitely, the genesis of a specific idea came from Orang Ulu culture, Kayan and Kenyah culture and folklore. One of the stories that people used to tell was the origins of sape.
Sape is the instrument.
Sape is the traditional musical instrument. So according to this folklore, it says that it came from this farmer who was searching for a cure for his wife who was dying. And in his dream, his ancestors told him to build this boat that could bring him to the other side, to the spirit realm. And this boat that he built eventually managed to rescue his wife's spirit who was lost. And this boat that he built eventually became the sape, and that's how the sape looks like a boat from its side view. And from that folklore, I tried to combine it with my own personal experience with death and grieving for a family member and how we all deal with this. And I choose to use a more metaphorical approach to dealing with it instead of more
so
direct approach.
you've taken a personal kind of experience and tried to make it universal.
Yeah, universal basically.
Okay, we'll take a short break. I'll be back with more. Stay tuned to Let's Talk. Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad. With me, Jeremy Jackie is the director, and Jolene Wong, producer of an upcoming short film called Kalingo, which is Echo in the Kayan language. You were explaining, Jeremy, about the kind of genesis of the film, the idea where you got it from, and you made reference to mythology and the sape, which is the musical instrument that we associate most prominently with Sarawak and Sarawak arts and culture. Tell us a little bit about kind of selling that idea. Because Jolene, you're kind of like the money person, I guess. I mean, maybe the both of you. And I know that you did some crowdsourcing because I stumbled upon you when looking at all this crowdsourcing possibilities and projects. Tell us a little bit about that. How do you take an idea like that? Sounds very interesting on paper, or as it's described. How do you convince somebody to put money behind it?
I guess we just have to really tell them about like why we want to make the film. Why is this film so important to us? Like as for Jeremy, the film is so important for him as in it helping to voice out the Orang Ulu folklore culture aspect. And then I guess, so the crowdfunding is, we put out our teaser. We make our teaser first, and then we put it up, and then we just, after I did all the breakdown budget, and then I put it out, it's kind of hard to convince people to put money on it, but then you have to be confident on your own project, then only people will put their trust on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it a typical route for final year students? Because I'm imagining you're not the only short film that's going to be made. I mean, right? So do they all go down the crowdfunding route?
Yeah, same.
Same.
We have, for our batch, we have 4 different projects. Yeah, like totally different. So we also we approach the same way. Crowdfunding, maybe we approach some sponsorship. Yeah.
And what if you fail? I mean, does it
does
happen that people just don't get the money to?
Yeah. It does happen, but then we still have to figure it out.
And for me personally, that's where it gets interesting, because it's forcing yourself to think creatively. Okay, let's say for example, we need like a $10,000 shot for this thing, but you don't have the money. How would you share or tell that same message, but cheaper? So maybe it makes you more diligent, less lazy in terms of the artistic side of it. So I'm taking it in strides, basically. Oh, we don't have enough of this. All right, let's figure this out.
Okay, but tell me, is this short film going to cost you 10,000 ringgit? What would exactly? I mean, so we all understand exactly what it costs to make a film. And I guess you're paying everybody, or are you doing a lot of like freebies from everybody, as many as you can? How exactly is the costing of this film? You can tell us.
I think the most costly part will be the post-production, the editing part, because Kelingo, we have like animation part where we might need like for contingency, as in like we need VFX shots, so we have to put a lot of money for that. And beside that, all of our crew members are actually all our friends in MMU, so we just sort of help each other out. So when they have project, we just go. And then we have project, they just willingly to help us, so we don't have to pay them, hire them, thank God. And then logistic part, the casting also.
Are you traveling to Sarawak to shoot this film?
Yes, we are. In fact, we actually just finished the shooting in Johor, and we'll be flying to Sarawak on 19. So we'll shoot in Sarawak as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me, you still haven't given me a number. What was the number, and I can't really remember, how much was it that you were aiming to raise through the crowdfunding?
I was aiming for 24K, but then now we only have like 15K.
Okay.
So I have to kind of sort things out by, okay, maybe food, okay, we find sponsorship, okay, cut that off. And maybe accommodation, maybe transportation, we just carpool and just sleep over at my place. So we just have to sort it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there wants to fund you guys and give you money, they can still do that, right?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yes, please. So we'll put something on the screen to get in touch with you. But tell me, Jeremy, this idea, you're the director, you're trying to make the script come alive, you have all these ideas, and then suddenly there's the money question, right? How do you, for you, is that frustrating that you have to maybe trim down on your ideas in order to make sense of the financial side of a project? How does it work out for you?
I think I haven't talked about that. Like his ideas are actually very simple. Like it helps me in a way that, oh, I don't have to find this thing. I don't have to ask for about that. His idea was just like, we kind of work like very understanding lah. Like we know that, oh, we lack of money, okay, just deal with it.
Okay, so you're very accommodating.
Very cool, yeah.
But have there been painful decisions for Kelingo in terms of things that you wanted to have delivered but you couldn't because of the money?
When you first find out about it, I mean, the first few minutes, oh, we can't do this because, lack of funding. And then when I have time to stew on it or think about it, because it forces you to think, okay, we still need to tell this part of the story. If I can't have this, how else would I tell that part of the story with the less money? And in the end, sometimes, or a lot of the times, it ended up being better, the thing that came out of it. A lot of my favorite filmmakers now, in the past, they face the same challenges, so I look to them, how did they handle this kind of thing? Spielberg famously, in his one of the first few films that he made, Jaws, the shark that they had kept breaking down. And in the end, in the final film, you don't see a lot of the shark, but that turns out it was by accident, but it turns out it made the shark even scarier because you don't see it a lot. That was not by design. So a lot of things in filmmaking is like that. You stumble upon ideas or things or ways to tell your story in a way because of an obstacle that you face. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that shot of the jaw of the shark,
Yeah.
kind of as the boat is sinking and the man
Yeah.
is slipping down, that was
Yeah.
very scary, I
Yeah.
must say. I didn't go into the water for years. Okay. Do you get involved as a producer in the story part of it, the script part of it as a producer, do you?
Not really. Not really. I just let him do whatever he wants. But like from time to time, he will come to me and then he will say, like, Joe, I have a crazy idea. And I will just freak out. I'm like, okay, tell me. And I have to sort it out. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So there's wonderful collaboration going on between the both of you. Okay, we'll take another short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned to Let's Talk. Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan. We've been talking to the cast and crew of an upcoming short film called Kalingo. It's actually a final project of students of the Multimedia University in Johor and of course on cinematic arts. Now, we've been speaking to Jeremy Jackie, he's the director. We just brought on the two actors, well, not from MMU, Connie Grace and Anthony Saleh. The cast, they're actually going to be the actors, aren't they?
Yeah.
But Jeremy, tell us a story and sort of place these two in the story of Kalingo.
Oh yeah, sure. So as you know, we mentioned before, Kalingo is inspired by folklores of the Orang Rulu people, and this is like a modern day adaptation of those stories. And in Kalingo itself, it tells of the journey of Elena, who is mourning or about to mourn the death of his soon to pass husband because he's in his deathbed basically, and while taking care of him, she loses track of him because he disappears into some other world. And in her search, she inadvertently stumbles upon a doorway to the spirit realm, the Kayan version of heaven, basically, or there's other world. And she's desperately trying to bring him back to the where we are now, the real world, quote unquote.
Right. And what's Anthony's role in this?
Anthony plays the dying husband, Joseph Baling. And Joseph Baling is a farmer who owns a palm oil farm. And that's where Connie's character, Elena, who's a city girl visiting his family in the longhouse, meets him. Okay. And they fall in love. And
Okay, so there's a bit of a romance.
Yeah.
Okay, but driven by the death of your character. Anthony, what do you do for a living? Are you an actor by profession? Is this the first time in filmmaking?
Actually, I'm a freelance in film. Yeah, before I used to study in film, but then now I'm doing the freelance for film. Then I got an offer from Germany, and then I get to try because I always go to set. Then I'm just one of the film crew. I'm seeing how the cast act in set, but then this time I would like to try this experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you Kayan yourself?
Yes.
And so the role requires you to speak the language, right? Kayan language, right? Okay. So Jeremy, you wrote the script. The dialogue is entirely written in Kayan. Is that how it works?
Yeah, it is. So for the requirements of the school, it's a film project. We have translation, and in script there's the description of what happens. That's in English. When the dialogue comes in, then that's in Kayan. But in brackets, there's an English version. And I collaborated with my mother because my Kayan's terrible. So what we do is I'll write what I intend to say, and she'll say, oh, we'll say it like this, or we won't say it like that. We never, because the thing about language is weird, right? If you can't really direct translate whatever you're saying, because there's some English saying that doesn't work in another language, for example. So there's a lot of that back and forth, and I collaborated with the actors while practicing or rehearsing. Anthony has been a great help, because like, this seems too formal, for example. Let's take out this word, let's take out that word. So there was some collaboration while we were rehearsing the lines.
Wonderful. So what's your background, Connie?
So, this is my first time berlakon dalam Telingo. So actually saya bekerja di satu organisasi media. I'm a news presenter at tvsraud.com. So this is my first time join me punya team.
Okay, but you're comfortable in front of a camera then?
Actually different atmosphere I feel lah.
Okay, from newscasting
Yeah.
to reading the news. Okay, but still, you're not entirely new to the experience. How do you get them? If then they're not kind of professional actors. They've not had the training. How do you get them to act for the screen? Because it's very different from other types of performances, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's an interesting point. And the way I kind of handle it was to meet them and see how their personality is, and try to steer the script towards their personality. Originally, Elena's character is less bubbly, more serious, but after meeting Connie and how she is, she's very open, very bright, very, very comfortable in front of the camera. I let that be Elena's character, like not try to mold her into that character, but mold the character into her, and to make sure that it still fits the story. And same thing with Tony. He's more like stoic and all that, so make that character more like him, and that helps with working with non-actors.
Okay, Cody, I want to ask you, like, say, there's a lot of grieving, right? So the death of the character, your husband. Can you cry on cue? Was Jeremy saying, okay, now tears, tears mengalir sekarang, How does it work for you?
Actually, first I put myself as Elena, and then saya tengok dia punya jalan cerita macam mana, and then I feel macam mana Elena rasa kehilangan seorang suami. So I put myself as Elena, and then
so the kesedihan comes out naturally,
Yeah,
is it?
naturally,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Is that true for you as well? I mean, do you have to fake it, or Anthony, or do you actually have these real, genuine feelings? How does it acting feel for you?
Okay. First of all, if I want to act, I guess I need to be who's that person in the script. So I guess in the set, I need to be that person. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're willing to be molded by the director. I mean, is it tough to get everybody? Because one of the biggest criticisms of films often is that you sometimes have really good acting, but it's not even, right? There'll be a lot of characters that do very well, then some are just like horrible wooden acting. To get evenness in terms of the acting, is that a big task? Were you taught at MMU how to deal with actors?
Yeah, we do. We do have a director's class, and a lot of the conversation in the class itself, it's not a class, it's more like a conversation with our lecturers who are also filmmakers and how they dealt with their specific problems working with non-actors, for example. And one of the things that came out was that try not to make the cast act, make them comfortable in the situation, and be comfortable to let them kind of shape the film. And you're talking about evenness and all that. This film is quite easier because we only have two characters, so I only have to look at both.
They're the only two actors in the entire film?
Yeah, besides extras and all that. So they're the only one with the speaking roles, which made it a lot easier. So all I had to do was like, okay, if Connie does this, Tony needs to react this way to make the whole film gel.
Okay, the last minute that we have, very quickly, what have you learned from this experience of being an actor in a film? What is the one thing that you've learned?
Belajar untuk melihat ke arah sebenarnya banyak benda yang sebenarnya actually dalam media. So kita kena belajar sesuatu yang baru untuk lebih more confident depan public, saya rasa.
Okay, and what about you, Anthony? What did you learn from this process? Somebody who's been watching from the sidelines, from the back of the camera, what did you learn being in front of the camera?
I guess what I learned from this process is if you're in front of camera, you need to change yourself. Yeah, you need to change yourself. When you read the script, then you need to be like this. Then yes, absolutely, you need to change yourself to be like, I guess, someone. But then try to not act. Then try to act naturally.
Okay.
It's that balance, yeah.
Okay, wonderful challenge for the both of you. I know the film is not over. You still have a
Yeah.
couple of weeks of shooting, is
Yeah,
it?
a few days of shooting
Okay.
in the coming weeks.
Well, thank you so much, all of you. I look forward for the release. I know you are due to submit your film in March.
In March.
And then you're going to take it somewhere.
Yeah, so film festivals, we'll see where you can go.
Okay,
yeah.
wonderful. Good luck to all of you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I've been speaking to Jeremy Jekis, the director of Kalingo's upcoming short film. Also, Jolene Wong was on earlier. She's the producer, and Connie Grace and Anthony Saleh are both actors in the film. This has been Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan, only for Astro AWANI.